perspective. We're here with Dominic Mendlick, a returning face on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. Glad to be back.
So we are trying out a new format for the show with a little segment we call Quick Bits. So we're going to break down this month's prep news into three little chunks, and then we're just going to go down the rabbit hole on each of those and just sort of give you our thoughts on that. So we're going to see how this goes. Let's look at our first topic, prep expansion.
Yes, yeah. As I'm sure that half the school or more is already aware, there's super loud construction workers at our school every single day now, building the land and commons as they call it.
The learning commons, right? Yeah.
Land and learning commons.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, as I understand it, like both mental health and counseling related. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah. I think they're gonna have. Well, I think they're gonna have a new thing. They're gonna centralize all of the school administrative stuff over there as well.
Is that right?
So I think they're gonna move dean's office and the high school office, if I'm not mistaken, are gonna be located over there now.
So are all the stuff are all the offices and administrative rooms that are over in our current administration wing going to all shift over there, you think? And what are they going to do with that?
That's my understanding. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Sure.
But I know for sure the dean's office, because, even Mr. Barth I've heard talk about in some of my theology classes. It's like, it's such a huge hassle to walk all the way across the school to give somebody a paper from the dean's office to the high school office, or from the theology office, or from campus ministry as well.
I would kind of agree with that, but at the same time, if you're a student going from a class to the dean's office, it's kind of in like a centralized location right now.
That is true. Now you're calling into question my memory. I'm not 100% sure if dean's office is going to move, because I feel like dean's office is
dean's office is kind of just locked in there. Right?
Yeah. Plus, it's sort of a power show on the part of the dean's office. They get to be high above all the students.
Being able to gaze over everyone in the commons is just it's a soft power projection.
Yes,
as you might say. Yeah, and of course, the construction gave us kind of a free break from class last week or so with the Freon gas leak that has caused kind of a kerfuffle, if you say. That was kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was very odd. For those of you who weren't there that day, or if you're listening here and you are not a student at prep, basically what happened is,
to our understanding,
the construction company hit a Freon gas pipe that began leaking. And luckily, I think the construction crews did the right thing. They quickly called the fire department. They evacuated the school, and it was safe for us to return back in before the end of the day. So that was fun. We got a nice little hour-long recess on the
freezing cold.
It was quite cold. It was quite cold.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, they handled it fine. It was protocol was not broken or anything.
It was.
I don't think anyone developed any lung disease as a result. So that was not too bad. I think this commons, however, this topic kind of brings up a greater issue, which is where do you think prep's going after this? After we build these commons or whoever, what's next for the prep expansion into the glorious continuation of our building an empire, on 72nd and whatever.
Continuing the expansion. 72nd Western.
Western, yeah.
Not really. Yeah, 72nd. All right. So if I had to guess, I think the next thing that comes in is the football field. But I don't think that happens for 5 to 10 years. So I think the next major expansion is going to be the football field. Because when they're able to purchase that house over there on Seward Street, they'll be able to rotate the football field, add in a proper stadium, which, I mean,
tear down the church.
As a student, I would love to be able to play home games at home.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, having I guess our homecoming game was at Burke this year, but I think the year before
it was at Prep.
And that was just, honestly, I'm just going to say it was horrible. I mean, you didn't get to sit down.
Yeah, you just sort of stand outside
the stadium and just watch. It was just, didn't work out well.
Yeah, so if I had to guess, that would be the next thing on the list. Other potential things, we were talking earlier, you mentioned a performing arts center.
Oh, yeah, we were talking before the show about this. Yeah, I honestly think there's this whole long chain of events that would have to happen. Not some of them are controversial or whatever, but our Jesuit order got chartered for another 6 years, and but they've shrunken significantly at prep, and
just in
numbers over a year. I mean, the faculty
from like
and staff.
3 dozen, and now
Sure. When Mr. Groff was the second ever faculty member to be non-clerical, I mean, we've come a long way from when he started at prep to now, where like practically all of the faculty, except for Mr. Kennedy and a few others, are all lay people. So, there's been some speculation that maybe they'll merge with the Creighton University order.
Ooh.
Which would be interesting.
I don't think I would support that.
I don't think I would either, honestly, because like they're so integral to prep, really.
Yeah, I mean,
it would totally change the dynamic.
It's part of the prep experience to be able to see the Jesuits, walking down the hallways every day.
Sure.
And I suppose you could still sort of get that with them being at Creighton.
But they
would have to drive here. They wouldn't be here all the time. They wouldn't be leading retreats here as much.
Yeah.
So I think the Jesuit order remaining at prep, I would be.
But
yeah.
but they have talked about like shrinking the residence at the very least, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's reasonable. They've got about 3 stories of stuff
that
there,
and they really don't need a lot of it. I just remember Father Carroll, our Jesuit superior, who left last year to get transferred. He was talking to me about how they've thought about shrinking it, just because of the space is just too big for him right now. And so, I think that potentially you might have some space opening up in that direction. And with those, classrooms nobody likes that are like super long. I think anyone who's had a class in that part of the building kind of knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
If you're in the back, you just really can't see anything. And the projectors are definitely broken. It's really, really cold. So, I think you could potentially fit some sort of performing arts center or something in there. But as a member of the chamber choir, there's also an issue near and dear to my heart, which is somewhere in this building, okay, we need to find space for a choir room, okay?
Okay, so what kind of space is required for a choir room? Would that be the kind of thing where it would be like, about the same size as the Chris Auditorium there, but with like special sound paneling? Or what kind of things would you want in your choir room?
Well, Mr. Cheshire would be the man to ask in that regard. I'm sure he has dreamt up many different iterations of the choir room over the years. The general consensus among the chamber choir is that no matter what it looks like, it has to have big windows. Okay.
Big windows? Why big windows?
Well, not to get too tangential.
Yes.
But last year we were Googling ideas for choir rooms, and we saw one with big windows. So we've basically been wanting the big windows ever since. But where was I? Oh yeah, the choir room. So it would probably have some kind of acoustic paneling, but a lot of chamber choir rooms, like the one at Scott, for example, is more circular, and there's kind of layers to it for all the different parts, kind of like risers, but they're in the floor essentially. And there would have to be like a couple smaller rooms, like you see if anyone has been into the highly guarded band room.
Yeah,
the band room access is restricted.
Like I've only been in the band room one time, and it was the first day of freshman year when they gave us the tour of everything.
Yeah, no,
that was the only time I've ever been in there.
The band room is a place of many secrets.
Yeah, I mean,
and very little is revealed. So it's like Area 51. So.
Well, now that you're talking about your choir room.
Well, hold on 1 second. I want to finish this up real quick.
Okay.
So, it would likely have to have one big, or it doesn't have to be big. Okay, this doesn't have to be huge. It can be the size of like a normal classroom, but as long as it sounds good.
Yeah.
And some offshoot rooms so that we can practice in our different singing sections. That's really all we ask for. Okay, we're not asking for a lot. We just don't.
That's what the band has. We don't, right?
That's my point. The band has their room, okay? And that thing is soundproof.
Yes.
Really soundproof.
Very, very soundproof.
And they have like 8 different practice rooms, and Mr. May gets his own office, and it's a pretty sweet deal. Okay.
Yeah, so they've got a nice little rig set up there.
They do. So, all I'm asking for, I think, is equal representation in the performing arts department. So,
well, as a fellow, non-focused, I don't know how to describe this, as a non-central activity, shall we say, as a swimmer, I am still waiting for my pool. This entire episode is just getting more into complaining, isn't it? Like,
it's okay. You know what? School, get good. Okay.
You know what? Here's the thing about a pool. I feel like now here we go. I'm going to get up on my high horse here. When was the last time that football won state?
Oh my Lord, we're really digging into people now.
I am digging into football.
Oh man, I think it was like 2005.
2004.
2004 was it?
You know when the last time swimming won state was?
Oh, what's that? 12 years in a row for the past 12 years?
Yes,
and then before that, like 7, and then before that, like 4.
Yes, and I'm really digging in these poor football guys here. I'm sorry, but I am quite ready for a pool at prep because our current conditions are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, go ahead and explain that to the listeners.
Yes.
You might not know how the swimming program works currently.
So we practice at 3 different pools over the course of any given week, and on Monday mornings, we have our before school practice, which happens at Montclair Community Center, which is on 132nd Center. Yeah, 132nd Center.
Don't even try Omaha streets with me.
That's like, that's pretty close to prep. It's about a 15-minute drive, but we get out at 7:15 usually. So formal dress days are very fun because you get out of the pool at 7:15. Get on your formal dress.
Yeah, I have noticed. I have noticed some of you guys come in with wet hair and some, I don't know how to describe it, flustered looks.
As we sprint from our cars into the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after school, we practice at the Croc Center, which is on. Where is that? It's sort of south. It's about a 20-minute drive from prep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so all in all, it's sort of a hassle, especially for the guys who live in Elkhorn. Like, they drive an hour home from practice every night.
And for those of you that, might complain about a long drive to school, I have to plug myself here. I live out way, way west, not even in Omaha, on the border of Douglas County practically, so...
Yeah, well, for those guys, it'd be like an hour and 20-minute drive.
Oh, no.
For practice.
Oh, my Lord. If I did swimming, first off, that would be a problem. And then second of all, I would have absolutely no time.
Yeah. So a pool would be pretty nice for our boys.
So I have to ask, though, it's clear that maybe there's a need for a pool, but where would you put the pool? Or... do many high schools have a pool? Is that
yes, actually. I would say most, so Westside has a pool. Millard West has a pool. Millard North, I don't think Millard North has a pool. But Plano Vista has a pool.
Do any of the Elkhorn schools?
Yeah, Elkhorn, they don't have a pool, but they have Common Ground Community Center.
Oh, that's right.
Which has a pool.
Yeah.
And that's where they all practice.
Right.
So I would say most of the competitive schools have a pool, and being the most competitive.
And I would say, when you say competitive, you mean the teams that get absolutely doubled in points by Creighton Prep State. So, perhaps less competitive than you're letting on.
Yes. And I think another interesting thing too is if you talk to our coach, he would actually tell you that he would not want a pool. He would say that it builds character. Driving all over the city and having to budget your time better. Me being a utilitarian would rather just have a pool.
So, but where would we put it? Where
we demolished the football field and put it there.
You would build a whole facility?
No. That would be that would be a little too much of a flex on the football guys, I feel like. But
that's interesting. Back on the old field.
That's an interesting problem. I would probably put an expansion onto the Hyder Center. You know where the track is?
Yeah.
I would move the track down to where the football field is.
I was going to say, if we build a new football stadium, we could definitely, because it's redundant to have that field up there.
Yeah,
and I know they use it for some things, probably soccer or something. And I know cross-country practice is out there, but we could certainly find ways to incorporate it into a track. My thing here, I'm sure there's like a structural reason why this could probably happen, but to me, the next direction for prep to move in is like underground in a way.
Underground?
Like
we already have a basement.
I understand we already have a basement, but like, it's so you might not know this, but they tore out the old Performing Arts Center at Prep, is my understanding.
There was a Performing Arts Center previously?
Or somewhat. This is what I've been told by my theology teacher last year, that they took it out and they built this theology wing that we're kind of near right now.
Oh, okay.
So to me, you'd kind of like, you know what they did with the Tomorrow Labs, where they just took out a whole area and put it in. To me, you do the same thing where you just kind of create a facility underground. Now with a pool, that'd be a little difficult.
With a pool, you could not do that.
You could not do that, but like with a choir room, you could.
With a choir, yeah. I think there's places in prep that could be renovated for that purpose.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to that. Was not a very quick bit right there.
No, that was but you know what? It's a very necessary bit because prep they could build some things for sure. And this is all, of course, bearing in mind that we have the funding procured.
Yes. This is we put together quite the laundry list.
If you're out there and your name is Warren Buffett and you like the Creighton Prep Chamber Choir, reach out, please. Okay.
Okay. So next, let's move on to the next quick bit. Hopefully, this quick bit will be a little bit quicker of a bit.
Perhaps.
We're going to talk about winter activities that are coming up.
Sure.
For this winter sports season. So we've already touched on swimming, but we've also got basketball, who, respect to them, they won last year.
They did. And
they'll be putting together a pretty good team this year.
Coach Lukey always does his best for sure, and they've been quite successful, so I'm looking forward to it. And it's winter sports season when they're like, you got to clean out the locker room.
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
Yeah, and then we've got, what else? We got robotics coming up.
Yeah.
We've got the start of
It's my understanding
robotics.
You're on robotics?
I am a member of the robotics team.
So what does the season starting up of robotics kind of entail for you guys?
Oh boy. Well, okay, so my job on the team, because I swim, most of my time during the swim season is taken up during that. So I don't have a lot of time to be in-house, working on the robot all the time. So how I contribute to the team in my house is I direct all the PR work. So I help the guys with the financial side of everything, getting all the money worked about. We do, like I shoot the promotional photos for the team, and then we also work on sponsorship deals with other companies around the city. So that's sort of what we're working on in the off season right now. But now that we're in the on season, which is going to be starting here in a month or so, that's going to begin the build guys' job. So there you go. They have 2 months to build and design a robot to do a specific task, which we don't know yet because they tell us what the objective of the game is at the first day of the season, and then we have about 2 months to just go.
Okay. Yeah.
So and these robots are insane.
Yeah, I think it's insane. Important context because
we're not talking about these little
like,
aluminum robots. No. Like our robot last year weighed. So there's a weight limit depending upon the game.
You gotta make weight.
Last year we were. So the weight limit last year was 250 pounds. We were 249.8. So
so you're really pushing it.
Yes.
And if you're overweight,
you just have to take metal off.
You're
disqualified.
Just kind of take a file and
shake down some filing off the metal bits there. So. Is there anything else we have to talk about for winter activities?
Actually, so since it's November, the speech and debate team's getting started again now.
Oh, you guys are getting fired up?
Yes, we are. I have a competition today. The competition's actually been happening for like 2 weeks now. I just haven't gone out yet. I'm surprised. It's like the biggest team we've had in a couple of years. We had a lot of guys interested this year, and we have a lot of across the spectrum, whether it's the different types of debate or speech, they're all really excited, and our coach and myself included are really looking forward to see how all the new freshmen are doing as we get into the season. So yeah, it's just getting started though. Just people getting out for the first time, having written speeches, and yeah, it's just kind of getting started.
So I think that's all we have for winter activities.
I mean, there's definitely more, but
That's all I can think of.
That's all I can think of. I mean, I think that they're probably starting to get lifting for some of the spring stuff already. I'm assuming.
Yeah, none of the big track guys. I haven't seen any of them
Nonstop
in the weight
Thunderdome.
room, but yes.
No, yeah. Well,
I guess
your coach also reserves the weight room on
That is
Tuesdays
true.
and Fridays
That is true.
exclusively for the swim team.
CB Swim Dive. We may not have a pool, but we do get the weight room for 45 minutes on Tuesdays and Fridays. So we are blessed.
All right. So I think at this time we can move on to our final topic, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I think we're going to talk about today. There's recently been a raging debate among the administration about switching from iPads to MacBooks, and personally, I see a double-edged sword.
Ooh.
Because I love the iPad. I love using Notability.
Notability changed my life.
Yeah, seriously. I never use paper anymore. I just do all my math homework on Notability and submit everything electronically, and it's nice and easy. And you just download an app where you need it. The problem that I see for like 95% of the time, I would say it works perfectly. Everything works well. We have no internet connectivity issues. Canvas is always working. PowerSchool works most of the time.
PowerSchool always working most of the time.
PowerSchool has been a little fidgety the last few weeks.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. The PowerSchool app for me is still broken.
Yeah,
so.
it is for me too. I've been using the website.
Yeah.
But so that brings up the and the other thing I was going to say about the iPads that I hate. File movement is a nightmare.
That's true. But that's just a problem with iOS in general. Okay.
That's fair.
Like if I were to go through my file hierarchy, it is very jumbled.
Well, I have to store everything on Google Drive because it's a nightmare to email anything to anybody locally. So like anytime I shoot a video for robotics or for media production class, I have to save it all to Google Drive because there's no way to
absolutely
export something on the iPad. The mail drops are terrible.
And of course, at home you use a Windows computer. So
yes.
There's another kind of chasm to bridge in that regard.
So I think at the end of the day, the iPads work extraordinarily well.
I think you should also. I mean, there's also some things to take into account with like cost.
Oh, 100%. That was the next thing I was going to talk about. On a cost for performance basis, I think the iPads are better. Because here's when you think about the Mac, right? Like I paid about approximately $500 for my iPad.
Yeah.
But if I was going to go out and get a new MacBook Air,
the newest ones, which just refreshed.
Yeah, they cost like $1,200 to $1,300 just for the cheapest version.
Yeah. Yeah, roughly 11 or 12.
And I mean, here's the thing though, even the new iPads prices have been getting jacked up just as bad to the point where to get like the iPad Pro costs about as much as a Mac, one of the MacBook Airs. Maybe that is
let me kind of take an angle on this. So I actually used a MacBook Air I purchased in 6th grade. I used it all through middle school. And I loved it, and I thought, oh my god, iPads are going to suck. And then we get to high school and we're using iPads, for the last couple of years. So my take on this is MacBooks definitely are easier to use for school-related things like browsing the web and editing video, although one could make the argument that editing on a MacBook it's
cancer.
Subpar.
It is, yeah. iMovie's okay, but I mean, you couldn't use Final Cut or Premiere on MacBook Air.
Actually, you could actually use Final Cut.
You could,
but it would be interesting.
It would be interesting.
And but the new ones, I think there's a compelling proposition there because Apple really supports MacBooks for a long time. My 2012 is still getting updates 6 years in.
Yeah, I mean, I have a MacBook Air as well, and I think it might be a 2012 or 2013. And I mean, it still works the same as it did.
Now, I wish it had more memory, but yeah.
Upgradable memory.
To say the least, yeah. I think that perhaps I don't know exactly how to describe it. I think they're more productive than iPads by nature. I think iPads, just with the mobile ecosystem, are automatically going to trend towards like being more distracting, perhaps, and
with
some of that.
You can
I have to be careful here because some of this is not. It's not all bad to use it as a entertainment device, but in terms of actually, getting some work done, writing some papers, typing on a real keyboard, you can never replace a real keyboard. But then, the iPad, the newest iPads that are cheaper, they're like $400 or $500, and you still get Apple Pencil support.
Here's the thing about the stupid Apple Pencil: they're $130 for that. Ooh. So you don't have to buy all these accessories for a Mac, though you may be paying.
I will contest the claim that the Apple Pencil is stupid as I wave the Apple Pencil around the room. Okay.
Okay. Well,
because this little device here absolutely changed the way I do school. Because to me, I'm like, writing is like, there's no doubt that, however much your teacher will rag on you for writing things down, it helps you memorize. Okay, it does. But with the Apple Pencil, you get both worlds. You get convenient access to your notes everywhere because of your iPad, but you get to actually handwrite all of them still. And so you get both benefits. And the response time on this thing is crazy. So I think...
But the price... Is it worth $130? Because I have not invested in the Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it for the last year and a half now.
Yeah.
And I've gotten used to just writing with my finger.
It's cringy.
Is it worth the investment?
So if your iPad supports it, and I think this would be unfair.
Mine doesn't actually.
I think it would be unfair to expect all the students to have, an Apple Pencil and a compatible iPad. I mean, at this point, we're getting into something a little bit more expensive by the minute. But I mean, if it's a replacement for a MacBook, then it's actually you're saving money anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say yes. Honestly, I was very hesitant to purchase it because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to spend. At the time, the version I bought, which was the Apple Pencil 1, it's only $100, so it was a little bit cheaper, but it was still pretty expensive for a pencil, okay? For a stylus, which you can get $5 on Amazon.
They're terrible, though.
But they're absolutely horrible compared to this one. And
I tried them, and I just went back to my finger.
Beforehand, if you asked me, I would have said, maybe don't buy it. But now that I have it, I absolutely give it 100% recommendation. It is honestly, and I have used many Apple products over the years, the best $100 I have ever given that.
Ooh, wow. All right. That's pretty bold.
But I mean, again, at the end of the day, you have to weigh whether, the expensiveness of a MacBook is worth its, educational benefits, and using desktop apps are by nature going to work better. I mean, I know some of the web quests that we have in, say, biology class only work with Adobe Flash, and you just can't get that on iPad, and stuff like that, whether it's just drag and drop being easier to use.
Yeah, I think
email app.
Like the file transfer, I think would be better. Canvas even works better on desktop.
It does. And you get that nice timeline of everything.
Yeah. It's not so touchy. Personally, right, if cost was no issue, I would say hands down MacBooks.
Absolutely.
But because cost is an issue for everybody, because this is going to be something that everybody would have to purchase, I think I would stay with the iPad.
And then there's kind of a disparity with MacBooks by nature because some people already have like everywhere from the budget option iPad to like all the way up to the top tier.
Yes.
Terabyte iPad Pro or so. But the same thing would happen with MacBooks. You'd have the MacBook Air, which is totally fine for school. Yep. You don't need anything more than that. All the way up to like the $4,000 or $5,000 MacBook Pro. Okay.
With like the 5K Retina display.
Okay. And like though beautiful, and though something I would very much like, it wouldn't
not
be necessary at all.
So here's an interesting. Wow, this just came to me as you were talking.
Sure.
How would we power? So imagine charging an iPad.
Yeah.
The battery life to usage ratio is arguably better. So to the point where you could easily make it through your school day. I think battery technology is good, but like if you were constantly using that, imagine trying to have like 15 guys try and charge their laptops from across the room.
That's true. And I think this is an important distinction, okay? The people charging their iPads at school are not charging them because the iPad runs out of battery.
Okay.
It's very much that you forgot to plug it in the night before. And, as someone who has done this multiple times, if you charge it to 100% in the morning, you're going to make it through the whole day with like literally no issues because the 10-hour battery life is great, and half the teachers don't even implement iPads fully into the curriculum, so it's not, except for like in math, so you're not really going to use the thing the entire 1 hour and 30-minute period. So the battery life is definitely great, and with a MacBook, I agree with you. It's definitely worse, generally speaking, just maybe because there's more components to run with a computer of that size, and some more processes going on. It's more powerful.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to have everyone lug around a MacBook charger to charge their MacBook.
Would it really be all that different though?
Well,
I feel like they would have to at that point allow us to carry backpacks around, right? Because
this is a whole nother issue. Indeed.
Because if you're going to be carrying all of this extra stuff around.
I guess what we're forgetting, though, is that the new MacBooks have USB-C. So it's actually about the same size jack as the iPad charger, and the cord itself is, like a lightning cable practically.
That's fair.
I'm
talking more about the actual size of the machine. It's physically bigger than an iPad. It's not like it's like the thing that you would carry in a stack of books.
Yeah, no.
It's like me. I always just carry my iPad on top of my stack of books.
I have some friends with MacBooks that do that, and I would be scared to death.
Yeah,
of that thing slipping and breaking,
or
and the repair costs. Or we're getting scratched. There would be
many a case. There would
be many. I've witnessed multiple iPads just get shattered on the ground of this school. A MacBook would be devastating.
Yeah, that would be like. You're not going home after that.
No. So do we kind of have a final verdict here? Like,
I think we cannot distinguish a final verdict without trying it. And I think my understanding is that next year they're going to try out having a select community period class actually start trying this. That was my understanding, was that they're going to start demoing this based upon the interest that was shown earlier. So that'd be sort of like they did with, the new desks where they put them in one classroom.
Oh, you mean the absolutely dreadful, horrible desks that should.
You hate those?
Oh no, yeah.
I prefer them.
I think we need to throw in a quick segment.
All right,
about these here. Okay,
new equipment.
This needs to be spoken about on the show because, and we could throw out a poll somewhere. Please tell me you can, have the media team send out a poll.
We can find that
because this infuriates me. Okay, so last year I had honors college algebra in it wasn't actually T003, it was 003, which has the tilty chairs and the movable desks. I have a Spanish class in a room that has those. And okay, the desks are fine. I actually like the desks because they're super big and you have a lot of space.
Yeah.
And I like the height adjustment on the chairs. But the fact that they are constantly leaning forward absolutely infuriates me.
I love that because I'm so ADD about everything. I just sort of I love being able to sort of move around like this, or have you seen the ones that are in some of the theology rooms, the teardrop ones? What do you think about those? They sort of fit together based upon what you're doing. Okay. It's two of them locked together, and then you can do a circle, super easy. Personally, I think
I kind of like.
I love those. That's sort of what I'm talking about. The big square ones, I think, are a little wonky.
I want to get back to these blue chairs though, because I think I want to make the distinction that I don't care about swirling around and going up and down. That's kind of fun. Okay?
Yes.
But I naturally lean back in every single chair, and you just can't do it with those. Okay, and I'm not talking about the dangerous leaning back that you're going to get demerits for, or you're going to yell at for. Okay, I don't care about that. I just care about the capability to literally get any kind of recline at all and not be forced to be hunched over my desk learning. Okay,
I see.
And I'm sure there's a bunch of science behind it, or I think I've spoken to a couple teachers now about how it helps kids with that naturally move around a lot, or that
are tall. For me, that's why because in math last year, my knees were right up on the desk every time. So being able to move the chair up and down
it's certainly better for different sizes of guys, which there's a pretty large spectrum of different
there's
guys
the football guys, and then there's
the freshmen.
I was going to say the wrestlers, but that's okay.
At freshman class. So, maybe you like that. I just think by far, I would prefer sitting in a desk any day over that blue chair, and I would trade anything for it. I would trade. Okay.
Would you trade the choir room for him?
Yes.
Wow, is that valuable?
Okay. Don't punish me, people that support the choir room, myself among them. But these chairs, I just can't deal with them anymore. And it's so petty, but I don't know. Desks, traditional desks, to me, they're not broke. Don't fix them. My opinion.
All right. Well, I think that is the end of all of our bits. I feel like that's a nice little stopping point.
This is kind of a natural stopping point. I appreciate it, Andrew, for having me back on the program.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming back. Hopefully, we can make this sort of a more regular segment because I sort of enjoyed this style. So.
I enjoyed the format too, and I'd totally be open to doing more of these, and hopefully we can dive deeper into some of these key issues like these desks.
Yes, the key issues facing
that are raging in school, indeed.
All right, well, thanks so much for being here, Dominic.
Absolutely.